Hello dear learners, I again welcome you all for this online session. Today we will discuss about sampling techniques and sampling errors in biostatistics. So let us start with the lecture. Now, these are the learning outcome of today's lecture. After attending this lecture, you will be able to understand and explain the applicability of sampling method and sampling techniques in detail, and you will be able to summarize the sampling errors. Now we will see the sampling technique. So, what is sampling techniques? As you know, the population is too large and it is expensive and it's not easy. As you know, the population is too large and it's too much time consuming if we are collecting the sample randomly, or you can say if we are collecting the sample without any technique, then it is quite difficult. So to make it easy, we have a sampling techniques. So what is sampling technique? You can say, what is our sample? It is a representative of a population, and to ensure that we choose each unit of the sample technically, and whatever process is there to choose the sample is known as sampling technique. Sufficient sample size is calculated based on the proportion of the sample. So here there is a sample size as we have discussed in our previous lecture. Now, sufficient sample size is calculated based on the proportion of the sample. As I have discussed the sample size in my previous lecture, we have to calculate the size as per the proportion of the sample. So here, to make the sampling easy, we have to study the sampling technique. Now, classification of sampling techniques. So, our sampling methods, or you can say technique, is divided into two types. First is the probability samples and second is the non-probability samples. So what is probability sampling technique? Let me clear what is the difference between probability sampling and non-probability sampling. So probability sample, or you can say this technique, have a sampling frame. Sampling frame means a list of population. Here randomly you can select your sample and you can generalize your result. You can say this kind of study is more expensive and time consuming, but it follows probability theory, and whatever result we will get, it's more accurate. Now what is non-probability study? So this non-probability study is a less time consuming method, but here there is a no classification of population. You can say there is no sampling frame. So this is the basic difference between probability and non-probability sampling. Now we will see in detail the type of sampling technique. So probability samples have a systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, or simple random sampling. These all are the types of probability sampling. Now what is non-probability sampling? So non-probability methods include the convenience technique, the snowball technique, the judgment, as well as you can say the quota sampling. It will be very clear. We will see in detail. Now I will start first with the probability sampling. So the first is simple random sampling. Now what is simple random sampling and when it is applicable? So you can say when the population is small, when the population list is available and it is homogeneous, at that time this study is applicable. So here we have a small population, and this is done either by using a random table or the lottery method. Means here you can say Whatever sample is selected, you have to select the sample randomly. And this principle is used to select the sample is each and every unit will have equal chance of getting selected. Now we will start with the probability sampling technique. So first is simple random sampling. So what is simple random sampling, or you can say when it is applicable? The random sampling means you can select any sample randomly, and when it is applicable when the population is small, when the population is available, and it is homogeneous, means a very simple technique. This is done either by using a random table or lottery method. These are the techniques how you can select the sample. You can select the sample randomly, and the principle used to select the sample is each and every unit will have equal chance of getting selected. Means here for all the sample there is an equal chance. Any sample can be selected. So this is a simple random sampling. It is more clear by this example. Here you can say there are a number of emojis. There are a different color of emojis. It have a white color, green color or red color. So you can select any sample randomly. So you can select any sample randomly from this. So here there is a selection of sample. So this is a simple random sampling. Now the next technique is systematic sampling. So what is systematic sampling and when it is applicable? So this method is applicable when the population is large and scattered, but the population least available. This technique is a different technique from a simple random sampling because here the population is large and it is not homogeneous. So we can see the principle behind the systematic sampling. Which principle is used? So, in selecting the sample, in every kth unit of population is selected. Here, how we can select a sample? We have to select a sample at every kth unit of the population. Now, what is k? K means the sample interval, and it is a sampling interval you can say, which is calculated as this formula. So, sampling interval, or you can say k is equal to, you can divide the size of sample by the total population, or you can say the total sample. So this technique will be clear by the example we will see. You can see here this is the population. You can say this is the sample 1 to 12. This is the samples. So how we can select the sample? So for example, here there is a sample is selected at every third interval. So this is known as sample interval. Means what? You can see the numbers starting from 1 to 12 over here. So here the first sample is selected is 2 number. Means the next sample will be the third one, that is a 5, then again 8 and 11. Means every third unit there will be a sample selection. So this kind of technique is known as systematic technique. Now next is stratified sampling. So what is stratified sampling and when this technique is applicable? So when the population is large but not homogeneous, means it is the same as the second technique, that is a systematic sampling. Here also the population is large but it is not homogeneous. So what we can do in this technique? As the name suggests, it is a stratified sampling. So here we have to make a strata. And what is strata? The population is divided into homogeneous group. And this is known as a strata. We have to make a strata. And the sample is proportional to its size. And this gives a greater accuracy result. Now it will be clear by this example. See, this is a stratified random sampling. So here there is a list of clients As you can see, these are the different list of clients. So this is known as a strata. So this is a first strata, this is a second, and this one is a third strata. Means here, as per the different population, we have to select the population systematically, and we have to make a strata, so it will be homogeneous. We are making this technique homogeneous. So this is known as stratified random sampling. Now the next is the cluster sampling. So what is cluster sampling and when it is applicable? So cluster sampling is applicable when preparing the sampling frame is difficult. Means what? Cluster sampling is applicable when there is no population list, or you can say it's very difficult to make a population list. In this technique, for example, it's a very wide population. So in this, geographical area is divided into a small area, and this small area is known as cluster. So this technique allows only small number of target population to be sampled. Normally we can select the 30 clusters. This is the limit of this technique, and these are selected by a systematic sampling method. Now error will be more. In this technique there will be more error, as here very wide population is there. So chances of error will be more, but cost of this study we can reduce. It will be clear by this example. See here, this is the cluster population and sample. See, here we are making cluster systematically. For example, here you can see there are three types of sample. One is of a white color, one is of a black color, another one is of a grey color, and these are the two clusters. Here we are making the sample, or here we are selecting the sample systematically. So as this two is of a one cluster and this two of a second cluster. So we have selected systematically, and this is known as cluster sampling. Now sampling. Now we have completed the techniques with the probability sampling. Now see, this is the summary of the 4 techniques which we have seen. So it is a very clear. This is a simple random sample. So here you can see the sample is selected randomly. Then systematic sample. Here we are selecting the sample systematically. Then stratified sample. So here we are making a strata, and a cluster sample, means these are the clusters. Now we will move towards the non-probability sampling techniques. So the first one is convenience sampling. So what is convenience sampling? As the name suggests, here we have to select the population as per our conveniency. Means we have to select the sample as per our conveniency. That's why it is known as convenience sampling. So here the selection is made from an available source, like for example from a nearly college students to study the awareness regarding AIDS in a college students, because getting sample is convenient. Means if we want to aware the college students about AIDS, or you can say the students about AIDS, so it can be selected from the college, because this population is more convenient to understand the AIDS, and we can aware about AIDS in this college students. That's why this is known as a convenience sampling. For example, here this is the example. You can see from the diagram, this is the researcher. Now these are the convenience sample. Means for this researcher, whatever sample he or she is going to select will be convenient. You can see over here, there is a no purple figure in the sample. Means the purple figures are not convenient for this researcher. So here C will select the convenient sample. Means the sample which is more convenient to his or her study. He will going to select. So this is known as a convenience sampling. Now we will move towards the quota sampling. Now what is quota sampling? So here, as the name suggests, we have to make a quota. So the general composition of the sample is decided in advance. The only requirement is that to find right number of people to somehow fill the quotas. Means here, it will be clear by one example. See, for example, this is the quota sample. So, here you have to assume, first we have a population. We have our decided population. Now, from the population, we have to make a quota as per our conveniency. Means we have to fit that particular sample into the quota. So here we have to assume that the proportion of emojis with eyebrow relative to those without eyebrow. Means there are some emojis having eyebrows and there are some emojis they don't have eyebrows. So now what we have to do? We have this population, there are different type of emojis. Now we have to make a quota sampling. Means we have to make a quota. What is our target? We have to make a quota for emojis which have eyebrows and emojis which don't have eyebrows. So here you can see this emoji, 4 emojis with eyebrow and 4 emojis without eyebrows. So we have to select the sampling. So we have to make a quota of the emojis with eyebrows and without eyebrows. So we can divide it in a 50-50 proportion because already our target is decided. So this is generally done to ensure the inclusion of a particular segment of the population. Now the next is purposive sampling, or you can say the snowball sampling. This is another name of the snowball sampling. So what is this technique? Here a purposive sample. Purposive means whatever study we are going to perform have a specific purpose, and a purposive sample is a non-representative of some larger population and is constructed to solve a very specific need, or you can say the purpose. Here what happened? A subset of a purposive sample is a snowball sample. You can say it's a snowball sample. Why it's so named? Because one picks up the sample along the way analogous to snowball accumulating the snow. So a snowball sample is achieved by asking a participant to suggest someone else who might be willing or appropriate for this study. Means here we have to ask to the population. Here we have to ask to the participant to suggest someone else who want to be a part of this study and who are appropriate for this study. So here whatever study we are going to do, how we can select a population is a very specific. That's why it is known as a purposive sampling. You can see it is very clear by this example. See over here, there is a 4 type of population. First, second, third and fourth. But our purpose is to select this sample. So we have to select only this sample. So this is a purposive sample. Now the next is judgment sampling. Means what? Here choosing the sample items depends on the judgment of the investigator. Means here we have to first choose the population, then we have to judge our sample, and after that we can select the appropriate sample. This is known as judgment sampling. So here samples are because the investigator believes that they are typical or representative of population under his or her study. That's why we have to first judge our sample and then we have to select the sample. That's why it is known as a judgment sampling. So these all techniques are come under non-probability sampling. So now we will see the sampling errors. Thank you for attending this video session. If you have any doubt, you can email me on this email ID and you can contact me on this number. Thank you. Happy learning.